to you.
By the way, folks, we're going to skip this network break coming up, so we have a full 12 minutes left with the governor. Always precious time with him. What a great patriot. I got to say, I admire Jesse Ventura because he's got courage. And he tells it like it is, and that's what we need in this country. And now, I just admire Geraldo Rivera. I admire Judge Andrew Napolitano even more, that they would put their careers on the line. There have been calls now to fire them. It's been big news, though, as listeners know.
You know, remember, I was basically dismissed and fired from MSNBC because I opposed the war in Iraq.
Oh, that's in WikiLeaks, that they're the #1 recipient of mainstream media of bailout money, Governor. What do you think of that?
Who, MSNBC?
Yeah, massive government money.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. But no, I was essentially fired because I opposed the invasion of Iraq. And they wouldn't allow me on the air. They fulfilled their contract, but I couldn't say anything because my contract said that I could not do any news shows, nor could I do any satellite or cable television.
Well,
and so, you know, the censorship is clear that it's out there.
Well, again, you're seen as a hero today for doing what a man is supposed to do. Tell the truth, follow your moral compass and what you believe in, and let the chips fall where they may. Justice be done, though the heavens fall. But more and more, that's seen as heroic because so many people just cower and go along with whatever they think the establishment wants them to do.
Exactly, because they're in fear, and we can't live in fear. If we start living in fear, then give up the ship.
All right, we got to move.
If we're supposed to be real Americans, then let's stand up tall and be what we're supposed to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't say it any better. Let's hurry through these other bullet points. Former NASA engineer reveals to Jesse Ventura damage to the Pentagon didn't come from plane strike. I can't tell you how many demolition experts have pointed out from the few frames they released. It's orange and white hot. That's not jet fuel. It's red and black. As a Navy SEAL underwater demolition expert, you know, of the cadre of SEALs, it's the underwater demolition teams that are, from what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, that are the, most focused on explosives. I mean, that's a white-hot orange fireball.
Well, not only that, but when you look at any of these things, when you end up with metal being melted, I mean melted, when metal melts, it takes extreme heat. You know, you're talking degrees of 3,000, you know, and nothing like that could happen through a normal plane crash. Heat will not get that hot through the normal crashing of a plane.
Well, it's shot through.
Trust us, there's been lots of planes that have crashed, unfortunately.
Well, it went through 3 rings of the Pentagon like a bunker-busting missile.
Well, and that's, you know, what we'll get into tonight on the show.
Unbelievable. Continuing, FBI confirms Pentagon had 84 security cameras on 9/11, but no footage shows plane hitting building.
Yeah, and they've taken that footage. They've under the old premise of national security, they locked it up, and we as citizens are not allowed to see it. I guess it would traumatize us too much. I don't know. Of course, I'm being sarcastic there.
Well, folks,
but why can't we see? If they had all these cameras running, why in the hell aren't we allowed to see the footage? What possible excuse, Alex, could they use?
They don't have one, and
they don't have one.
They even went to hotels and gas stations and confiscated it. Continuing, final point, there's even more on the show. 911 commission lawyer admits to Jesse Ventura that government has a penchant for secrecy.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was a lawyer that was actually on the 9/11 commission, and tonight you'll see me sit down with her. And, you know, I respect her, and I think what she did as an individual was okay. But what she reveals in just talking to her unintentionally tells you what a hoax and what a fraud the whole investigation was. That it was clearly dictated out of the White House. And, you know, the White House wasn't going to have this investigated at all. People seem to forget and have this short-term memory that immediately following 9/11, the Bush White House completely blocked any investigation. There wasn't going to be any investigation. were good things that were revealed out of that investigation. You have to find them and piece them together. But we're no better off learning the truth today after the 9/11 investigation. And the clear example of that, Alex, is again, follow the money. When Bill Clinton was investigated for Whitewater, which ultimately they learned the president cheated on his wife, they spent $100 million. The initial allocation for the death of 3,000 people or more at 9/11, $3 million. They ended up spending 13.
And they agreed at the beginning of the commission they weren't going to look for who was wrong or what happened. They were going to look at things to recommend, national ID cards.
Not only that, but no one got fired. If Bush and them were that inept that these 19 bozos could get on planes with box cutters and accomplish what they did against our military, our air defense system, and what was called the most safest building in the world, the Pentagon. They bragged, it's a no-fly zone. Why wasn't that plane shot out of the air?
Well, we know Cheney was in the bunker and basically involved in the stand-down.
Well, who had a stand-down? Because the Pentagon is in a no-fly zone. Anything that flies so close to the Pentagon is to be shot out of the air.
Governor,
and that day, nothing was shot out of the air.
We're almost out of time. Very powerful. Folks, you better set your TiVos, your DVRs. This may be the only time you ever see this. They normally air the episodes more than 50 times, but they've already deep-sixed one because of Homeland Security and congressional things. It really hit a nerve. I mean, let me tell you, knowing what I know about this episode, I'm quite frankly crossing my fingers. I'll be surprised if it even makes it on air. There's been a lot of other stuff behind the scenes that I can't get into, but this is real TV. Ventura and his crew have a lot of courage to bring you this.
And what's amazing, Alex, is even the confession of G. Gordon, or Howard Hunt.
Yes.
The confession of Howard Hunt, which backs up the book Plausible Denial, written back in the 80s, the court case in Florida, and yet not one bit of it is reported in mainstream media.
Yeah,
Here's a confession to the murder of John Kennedy.
Wow. No, the show slipped in under the radar, but it's now being targeted. In closing, I was really proud to be associated with the Gulf episode. I know it was one of your favorites, but here's the Guardian article where they admit there's a plan to buy up 17,000 Mississippi houses just to begin, to force people completely out of the Gulf area, Mississippi, Louisiana. You really caught them last week when you talked to the head scientist, and they had to admit it.
Well, they're doing it for the good of the people, Alex. They don't want them flooded out anymore.
Yeah.
That's their simple explanation. It's time for all them people to relocate.
But they admitted big business is going to be there.
Yeah, big business is going to be staying, but they prefer to have the people gone.
Well, you haven't left...
You know what I always question? Certain parts of big business won't do very well unless there's people around, will they?
Not in the end game. They want to consolidate power.
One of the big things down there is the casinos. Who's going to go down there and gamble if all you can do is look at oil wells?
Governor, it's incredible. We've only got about a minute left. I guess this will be our last interview until 6-7 months from now when you get back to Minnesota. You're about to go to Mexico here in the next few weeks. Be safe on your trip.
I will try. That's another shining example of our foreign policy, how well we're doing at the Mexican border with all the murders, and that today you have to literally take your life in your own hands just to go down and visit what is a fabulous country of Mexico.
And you've got a simple answer that the statistics show would fix it, decriminalize.
Oh, completely. I mean, if they would decriminalize drugs, that puts the cartels out of business. Again, it's called, go back to your history books. Start reading on Al Capone and prohibition of alcohol, and you will see how much it parallels.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, he's finishing up here in about 2 minutes, and then we're going to let Governor Ventura go. Again, one of his last interviews of the year before he leaves. Honored to have him. You were finishing up with the fact that you won't fly, so you got to drive that gauntlet of all the violence on the border with the drugs. And you were making a point about legalize it, and that's the end of the drug cartels. It's the end of the big banks that have been caught laundering the money as well. You were making a point about Al Capone.
Well, the point is, if you go back and look at history, Alex, of Al Capone and how the whole prohibition of alcohol happened, this is identical to it. It's the same thing. And, you know, prohibiting something doesn't mean it's going to go away. What it means when government prohibits something, it means it will then be run by criminals and the criminal element. And the less you can have to be run by the criminal element, the better it is for everybody involved. And you wouldn't have these innocent people being slaughtered at the borders, and you wouldn't have people afraid to go to Mexico simply because of legalization. And it's time to get our heads out of the sand. I feel bad at what happened in California, that they didn't pass it, but that fight will continue to go on too, because hopefully at some point intelligence will prevail.
Here's the headline.
Alex, good luck, and we'll see you in the spring. Bye-bye.
All right, Governor, take care. God bless. There goes Governor Jesse Ventura. And here's the headline at Infowars.com. Governor Ventura probes Pentagon attack, unreleased 911 video, and missing trillions. Conspiracy Theories 911 Pentagon episode airs tonight, Friday, December 17th at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on True TV. And I'm going to be really surprised, because I know about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, that this is going to make it on air. And they've tried their best to give you super hardcore, groundbreaking show, and they've done it. I mean, I will tell you that, you know, there's behind-the-scenes stuff like where the super higher-ups, well, I'm not even going to get into it. I mean, they've put it in a format where it's for the general public. It's exciting. It's dynamic. I don't even think you need to even hype this stuff up. It's so incredible. It's getting top ratings for True TV. I forgot to ask Ventura if he's even thinking about doing a season next year. I mean, I pretty much know what he's already told me. He's given me some other really big news I'm not allowed to talk about, dealing with some other issues. But as soon as that comes out, you're going to definitely hear about it. I'm just going to leave it. In fact, I'm going to say nothing more. It's hard being on the inside of so much of this now, because I'm in people's confidence and I can't talk about it. But believe me, you want to tune into tonight, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. And Ventura is such a great guy. One thing I wanted to bring up to him, but on a side note that I'll do next time he's on, I guess in 6-7 months when he gets back from Mexico, he kind of orbits through for half the year, and we always enjoy getting to hang out and have him on the show and talk on the phone and stuff. He's just a great guy, kind of like a John Wayne type character. In person, knowing Ventura, you can tell why he was a movie star and a top wrestler and a governor. I mean, you know, he's got that charisma. I've gotten to know a lot of other Hollywood people and folks with powerful charisma, and when you're with them in person, you really figure out why they're, quote, a star, as they say, because they've just got that electric, you know, dynamic dynamism about them. But